happens in every election cycle. The political media takes a shine to certain candidates while giving others the cold shoulder. Since getting good press can mean the difference between winning and losing, Democratic gubernatorial nominee Martha Coakley may be in for a rough fall. WGBH News reporter Adam Riley has more.
This week, Martha Coakley finally put her 2010 U.S. Senate loss to Scott Brown behind her, winning the Democratic nomination for governor after a tough three-way primary.
To everyone in Massachusetts, it's a new day. Let's make it ours. Thank you very much, everybody.
At least that's one way to tell the story. But the media took a different approach.
You were up 35% at one point, allegedly, in the polls. You ended up winning by 6. Is this a concern for you at all?
Fox 25 wasn't alone in second-guessing Coakley's win. Depending on who you ask, the fact that Coakley only beat Steve Grossman by 6 points raises doubts about her campaign, revives memories of her late campaign fade 4 years ago, or just shows she's a weak candidate.
Some people thought that Martha Coakley was going to win by about 20 points. The margin ended up being single digits, not really an auspicious start.
It really isn't.
If it's any consolation for Coakley, she's in good company. From John Kerry to Tom Riley to Jane Swift, there's a long line of candidates who the press never seemed to like. Maybe if Coakley can beat Republican Charlie Baker this fall, that will finally change. Then again,
she seems to be ticking even more to the left, which is not really what you see in a general election. Usually,
bashing Coakley may be a hard habit to break.
Yeah, this has been just a piling on. Just almost everybody has said it. To her credit, I have to say, this week, Joan Vanocchi did a really good, fair analysis, but it was almost like she sort of looked around and said, wait a minute, everybody is piling on this. And we were kind of going back in history on this, and maybe it's kind of the prosecutorial personality. There are a lot of reasons this happens to certain candidates like Tom Riley and Martha Coakley, but definitely the media plays favorites. And it has less to do with their politics, which I think a lot of people think, oh, that's because he or she is this or that on certain issues. It's not. It's about their personality.
Oh, it is about their personality. It's all about whom you like more. Yeah. But, you know, the thing I'm so sick of is this idea that Martha Coakley blew the race against Scott Brown. I would take the absolute opposite opinion. Yeah, she made the joke about not campaigning outside of Fenway Park, but she won that primary by 20 points. She blew people like Michael Capuano, the congressman, out of the water, who was terrific in all those debates. Scott Brown was a phenomenon. He's one of the best, like him or not like him, he's a great campaigner. He was going to be the vote that was going to stop Obamacare. He had a whole agenda. He ran around in the barn coat. The men in Massachusetts were practically drooling over this guy. They were all in love with him. So, I mean, to say that he won that race because he caught fire.
No, I know, but she ended up apologizing is the point. She was like vilified.
I was up at the convention this year. I said, we're mad at her for losing, we're mad at her for losing, we're mad at her for losing. She got beat by a phenomenal candidate in a one-time situation, because we saw what happened with Elizabeth Warren. So anyway, I like Martha Coakley, and good, luckily for her, Charlie Baker is not a natural either.
I do think there's a political shorthand for politicians that we develop as media, and her shorthand is that she lost in 2010, and it was Ted Kennedy's seat, and she lost it, and, you know, fairly or unfairly, that's how. I bet more people in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts know that she lost in 2010 than anything she did as AG, right? I mean, I think she's got to, that's the mark of a good politician. You dust yourself off, you get up, and you change the narrative for yourself. So if she wins this race, we'll know her differently. We'll know her as the first elected female governor.
The media has to change a little of the narrative, too.
Well, true.
Well, it is kind of interesting that, you know, she wasn't a three-way race. Anybody in a three-way race, how, you know, it's going to be tough to get like 75% unless the other two people are real dopes and nobody wants them, which was not the case. They were very strong candidates. So that was odd to me that never got enough credence about why the margin would be of winning would be small. Of course, that makes sense to me. I mean, I also think it's in stark contrast to the other women, because now we're women-centric for a hot minute in Massachusetts, to the other women who won that night, to see this kind of narrative going in that direction. So maybe that'll change because of that. I don't know.
There were some ABCs, though. Anybody but Coakley's out there.
Yeah.
There were.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think it's true that Scott Brown was going to win that race no matter what. And I do think the media's characterization of Coakley as being inept has been excessive, but I also think there's something to it. I mean, that's victory speech she gave was very awkward. It was really
was.
kind of hard
It's a
to
new
watch.
day.
It was not good. Her campaign finances were a mess. We'll see. I mean, women.
But are we tougher on the women? I mean, there's been a lot of really terrible concession. And how about John Tierney's concession speech? It was disgraceful.
People have been withering in their criticism of John Tierney's concession speech. So I don't know that that's
yes,
the
we are
comparison
tougher on the women. If I were Jane Swift, I would have taken that helicopter home too.
Of course, I defended her on that. I want you to know.
People were unfair to Jane Swift as well, but I don't think anybody was treated with more contempt in this past cycle than John Tierney, who the last I checked was not a woman.
Yeah.
Of course, he may have deserved it.
He had some issues there that may have caused people to treat him.
But John Kerry, just to reiterate what Adam said, he was, local media anyway, made fun of him for decades. Live shot Kerry and it was
Dukakis.
Yeah.
We make fun of people who lose.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
We love making fun of people who lose.
All right. Wow.